one melted candy bar, one puzzled engineer, and a kitchen revolution sparked by radar. It's 1945 in a Raytheon lab outside Boston. The war is ending, but the rooms still humble cracks. Fat vacuum tubes, cables like vines, and at the center sits the allied marvel of radar, the cavity magnetron. Imagine a metal donut with resonant slots. Electrons whirl through crossed electric and magnetic fields. The metal sings at centimeter wavelengths, microwaves powerful enough to spot steel through rain and fog. That whistle helped ships dodge U-boats and pilots see in storms. Peace is arriving. The question lingers. What do you do with war machines when war ends? Enter Percy Spencer's self-taught, sharped, sleeves rolled, poor main childhood. Physics by lamplight, electronics learned in the Navy and on factory floors until he could make tubes sing too. He passes an active magnetron with a peanut candy bar in his pocket. Later, he reaches for a snack and finds a sticky disaster. The room isn't hot. The bar is something invisible warmed it. Annoyance becomes hypothesis. Spencer swaps candy for corn. He places kernels near the magnetron's mouth, powers up, and hears staccato pop, pop, pop. White blooms across the bench. Popcorn. Then he tries an egg. A colleague leans in. The egg detonates, decorating curiosity with breakfast. Embarrassing. A little informative. Very. Whatever field spills from the magnetron is coupling to food, and fast. Why? 3 pieces. First, power. The magnetron is a small brute, hundreds of watts in a tight band. Second, frequency. Most foods are water-rich, and water molecules are tiny. An oscillating electric field twists them back and forth. Rubbing neighbors makes heat dielectric heating. Third, geometry. Inside a box, standing waves form with hot and cold spots. Rotate the food and you average peaks and valleys. Spencer isn't writing Maxwell's equations. He's running them with corn and eggs. Curiosity becomes apparatus. He cages the energy. A metal box, essentially a Faraday cage, houses the magnetron. A waveguide feeds microwaves inside. An interlock kills power when the door opens. He adds a turntable to smear out hot spots and vents to release steam, while the mesh windows, tiny holes, block the waves. A lab gag becomes a prototype oven. Raytheon leans in. They brand it Radarange. Early units in the late 1940s are enormous, over 5 feet tall, water-cooled, pricier than a car. Hotels and ocean liners buy them for speed. Homes do not. Over 2 decades, engineers tame magnetrons, shrink power supplies, refine shielding, and drive down cost. By the 1960s, countertop models appear. By the 1970s, prices tumble, adoption soars, and a verb enters the language: microwave. What changed wasn't only cooking speed, it was time itself. Leftovers no longer demanded pots. Vegetables didn't require a burner to justify a meal. Butter softened in seconds. Coffee revived without a stove. For single parents, shift workers, students, anyone juggling too much, the microwave returned stolen minutes. Every technology is a story about time. This one handed small pockets of life back to people who needed them. Under the hum, the physics stays elegant. Kitchen ovens settled on about 2.45 gigahertz, an ISM band reserved for industrial, scientific, and medical use, far from broadcast services. Inside the shiny cavity, waves ricochet like billiard shots. Where peaks meet, heating surges. Where valleys meet, it slackens. Turntables and mode stirrers and little metal fans scramble the field. The door's mesh has holes far smaller than the wavelength. You see in, but the waves see a wall. Safety interlocks prevent running with the door open. The radiation does its job inside and stays there. Rumors sprint ahead of reality. Microwaves do not make food radioactive. There are no neutrons here. No nuclear reactions, only electromagnetic fields making dipoles dance. Nutrients. Loss mostly tracks heat and water exposure. Because microwaves heat quickly and often with little added water, some vitamins fare better than in boiling. Texture is trickier. Bread goes leathery, pastries limp. Crispness needs hot air or radiant heat. Hence, combination ovens, microwave for the interior, convection or infrared to brown the surface. Culture adjusts. Frozen dinners find their match. Office kitchens adopt communal cubes. Dorm rooms hide illicit units behind posters. Recipe cards translate simmer into 70% power for 7 minutes, stir once. Some cuisines ignore the device. Others use it for prep melting chocolate without scorching. Tempering butter, quick steaming vegetables before a wok finish. Chefs learn it can be a scalpel, not a hammer, if you respect what it does well. Zoom back to origins. The line from military radar to midnight snack is a lesson in technological migration. War funds capability. Peace rehomes it. A magnetron that once chased echoes off steel now warms soup for a nurse after a long shift. GPS, duct tape, computers, many everyday tools boomerang from conflict to convenience. Innovation rarely travels straight. It bends through budgets, accidents, and people willing to notice. Credit deserves a wider lens. Law pins everything on Spencer. Merits his patents. But teams refined magnetrons. Factories miniaturized parts. Regulators allocated spectrum and enforced safety. Marketers taught households. Repair techs kept doors honest. A modern oven is a conspiracy of disciplines. Materials for magnets and ceramics, RF engineering for feeds. Control for power, cycling, industrial design for a knob you trust. Like penicillin, the hero picture widens until it's a crowd scene. Not every measurable effect should be scaled. Sharp metal edges arc, thin foils spark. Grapes can make mischievous plasma. Sealed containers explode. The device's success leans on unloved interlocks and dull manuals. Safety isn't the enemy of innovation. It's the license for your invention to live in kitchens you'll never see. There's a tactile joy to those first demos. Executives edge back as popcorn detonates on a bench. An egg redecorates someone's tie. Engineers sketch boxes in the air with their fingers, doors, latches, fans, making an invisible field visible through a snack is part of why people choose this work. It's not only utility, it's wonder with a switch. By the time microwaves felt inevitably almost boring, that boredom was the crown. It took material science to make compact magnetrons cheap. Power electronics to turn wall current into stable RF. Regulation to limit emissions. Cookware that wouldn't arc, and habits that normalized. Zap this for a minute. In design, you know you're done when it's boring. A boring miracle marks mature technology. Takeaways you can use beyond heating lunch. First, anomalies hide in margins. Pay attention to the candy bar you didn't mean to test. Second, prototype immediately. Build a box around the effect and see what survives. Third, translate for safety early. Nothing reaches lives until it can eat kitchens. Fourth, expect myths and communicate patiently. Fifth, widen credit. Domestication is a team sport. Another persistent myth. Cooks from the inside out. In most foods, microwaves penetrate only a couple of centimeters. Energy deposits there then conducts inward. That's why resting matters. The heat understanding physics improves. Dinner If you want one image to hold, choose the mesh window glow on a late night. A student slides a bowl into a humming cube. Somewhere behind that hum is a wartime tube, cavity slots like a tiny pipe organ. Electrons whipping past veins, a field oscillating billions of times per second. The line from radar to kitchen glows faintly across decades. A device that once watched 4 planes now warms soup. The conversion from defense to dinner is ordinary and astonishing. Like most progress when you trace it to its spark. And like penicillin, this story has a lost page, a reflex you can practice. Penicillin's was measured before you mop. The microwaves is notice, then build a box. Treat surprises as prototypes. Discoveries don't end with curiosity. They begin with containment. When you take something invisible and make it safe, repeatable, and boring. In the best sense, you make it available to everyone. Today, the device keeps evolving at the edges. Inverter power supplies allow steadier low-power heating instead of crude on-off cycling. Sensor reheat watches steam and adjusts time. Hybrid ovens, crisp and brown, yet the heart remains the same. Organized electricity tickling dipoles until friction becomes dinner. So we land where we began. A candy bar, a pocket, a puzzled look. A man bothers to ask why his snack melted. He doesn't stop at weird. He tries corn, then an egg. He builds a box. He hands the idea to colleagues, who hand it to factories, who hand it to homes. Curiosity to prototype, to product, to culture. That is the relay. One melted candy bar, one engineer who paused, and a decision to build a safe box so the rest of us could press start.